There is a moment in every life when everything seems ordinary on the outside, yet something powerful is shifting underneath the surface. You may not see it clearly yet. You may not even have words for it. But deep inside, you can feel that a decision is standing before you, and this decision is not small. It is not casual. It is not something that will pass without leaving a mark. This is the kind of choice that divides one season of your life from another. This is the kind of choice that quietly carries the weight of your future in its hands. And God says this message is for you because you have been standing at the edge of change for longer than you realize. You have been sensing that your life cannot continue in the same way. You have been waiting for certainty, for a sign, for confirmation, for one clear voice to tell you that you are not imagining this pressure in your spirit. And now that voice is here, telling you that the decision in front of you matters more than you think. God says you have spent too much time doubting what He already placed in your heart. You have asked for courage, but when courage started rising inside you, you called it fear. You have asked for open doors, but when a door began to open, you became afraid of walking through it. You have prayed for transformation, but when the process of transformation began, you mistook discomfort for danger. Listen carefully now, because this is where many people lose the future they were meant to enter. They do not lose it because God failed them. They do not lose it because heaven forgot their name. They lose it because when the hour of decision arrives, they shrink back into old habits, old excuses, old versions of themselves. They choose familiarity over purpose. They choose delay over obedience. They choose comfort over calling. And God says you must not make that mistake now. This decision will change your life forever, not because it is glamorous, not because it will instantly make everyone understand you, and not because it will be easy from the beginning. It will change your life because it will reveal who you trust. It will expose whether you truly believe that what God planted in you is stronger than the fear around you. It will show whether you are willing to stop living according to other people's limits and finally begin living according to the assignment heaven placed on your life. There are moments when one choice becomes a doorway. One yes becomes a turning point. One act of faith becomes the seed of a completely different future. You are closer to such a moment than you think. God says there are some people around you who can feel that you are changing, even if you have not spoken about it openly. They can sense that you are not the same person you used to be. Your thinking has changed. Your hunger has changed. Your tolerance for confusion has changed. The things that used to satisfy you no longer satisfy you. The places that once felt comfortable now feel small. The conversations that once entertained you now leave you empty. This is not an accident. This is a sign of spiritual movement. This is what happens when your soul begins to outgrow an old environment. And when that happens, a decision always follows. You cannot grow into what God has prepared for you while holding on to everything that belongs to your former season. Some things must be released. Some mindsets must be buried. Some doors must be closed. Some invitations must be refused. Some fears must be confronted. Some voices must be silenced. The decision in front of you is part of that separation. God says stop waiting for the decision to become painless before you make it. Some decisions are holy precisely because they require faith. If you could see every outcome, if every detail were obvious, if there were no risk, then faith would not be necessary. But faith is the bridge between where you are and where you are called to be. Faith does not mean you know everything. Faith means you trust the one who does. Faith means you move even while some details remain hidden. Faith means you obey even while your emotions are catching up. Faith means you remember that God is not asking you to control the future. He is asking you to trust Him with it. You have spent enough nights overthinking. You have replayed enough possibilities in your mind. You have imagined worst-case scenarios until they felt more real than the promises of God. But God says your future will not be built by endless hesitation. Your future will be built by alignment. It will be built by the courage to choose what is right over what is easy. It will be built by the willingness to leave behind what is draining your spirit. It will be built by your refusal to keep shrinking to fit into spaces that cannot hold your destiny. There are people who only liked the version of you that stayed confused, dependent, and easy to control. There are people who became comfortable while you remained uncertain. There are people who benefited from your delay. But God says your life is not meant to become a monument to someone else's comfort. Your life is meant to become a testimony to His faithfulness. The decision will change your life forever because it is connected to your identity. Not the identity others projected onto you. Not the identity shaped by rejection, disappointment, or comparison. The true identity. The one God saw when He formed you. The one that existed before fear trained you to play small. The one that still speaks inside you when the noise goes quiet. The one that keeps whispering that you were made for more than survival. You were not created merely to endure life. You were created to walk with purpose, clarity, and authority. But you cannot fully become who you are while continuing to bow to what no longer belongs in your life. God says there are patterns that must break now. Patterns of indecision. Patterns of seeking permission from people who do not carry your destiny. Patterns of calling your gift too small and your fear too big. Patterns of settling for almost. Patterns of pretending you are waiting on God when, in truth, God has been waiting on you to move. The hour has come for honest self-examination. Ask yourself what exactly you are protecting by delaying. Is it really peace, or is it familiar pain? Is it really wisdom, or is it fear wearing spiritual language? Is it really patience, or is it procrastination blessed with holy-sounding words? God says truth sets captives free, and some of the chains around your life are maintained not by demons, not by enemies, but by the stories you keep telling yourself to avoid the next step. This message is for you because you are not as stuck as you feel. You are not abandoned. You are not behind beyond recovery. You are not disqualified by your past mistakes. You are not too late. You are standing in a place where heaven is urging you to choose with courage. And yes, the decision carries weight. Yes, the path may require sacrifice. Yes, there may be misunderstanding. But God says there is also grace available for this moment. There is strength waiting for your obedience. There is provision connected to your alignment. There is favor hidden in the step you have been afraid to take. You do not need to feel powerful before you move. You need only to trust the one who is powerful enough for both of you. God says some of what you are experiencing right now is the pain of transition. You thought it meant you were failing. It does not. Transition feels strange because the old life is losing its grip while the new life has not fully arrived. In that space, everything can feel uncertain. You may feel emotional one day and determined the next. You may feel peace in prayer and then battle fear in the evening. You may feel called forward and yet still feel the pull of what you know. This does not mean the message is false. It means you are human. It means the crossing is real. It means the old version of you is not leaving quietly. But God says do not interpret inner resistance as a sign to retreat. Often it is simply proof that change is happening. The enemy of your progress has always tried to make major moments look too complicated, too risky, too impossible. He wants you to believe that if you move forward, everything will collapse. But God says that is not the truth. The truth is that many things in your life are already collapsing because they were never meant to carry the weight of your future. Some structures must fall so stronger ones can be built. Some connections must weaken so divine alignments can emerge. Some illusions must shatter so you can finally see clearly. The pain of losing what is false is real, but it is still mercy. Better an uncomfortable truth than a comfortable lie. Better a difficult awakening than a long sleep. Better one holy decision now than years of regret later. God says you have asked for a breakthrough, but breakthrough often enters through decision. It does not always arrive as a miracle falling from the sky. Sometimes it arrives as the strength to leave what has been poisoning your spirit. Sometimes it arrives as the courage to apply, begin, build, speak, forgive, refuse, relocate, create, or let go. Sometimes the miracle is not that the sea parts first. Sometimes the miracle is that you step toward the water and it parts while you move. Too many people wait for certainty before obedience, but God says the pattern of faith is often the opposite. Obedience opens what hesitation never will. There is something in you that knows this already. Beneath all the noise, you know. Beneath all the opinions, you know. Beneath all the memories of failure, you know. The reason this message stirs your heart is because your spirit recognizes the truth. You have been carrying the answer for longer than you admitted. What you needed was the courage to stop arguing with it. God says enough delay. Enough pretending you need one more sign when He has already surrounded you with confirmations. Enough making a home in indecision. Enough telling yourself tomorrow when heaven is speaking today. This is not pressure meant to crush you. This is urgency meant to wake you. God says your life is too valuable to keep handing over your authority. Every time you deny what He put in you, you hand authority to fear. Every time you choose delay over trust, you hand authority to confusion. Every time you keep a harmful pattern alive because it is familiar, you hand authority to the past. But heaven is calling your authority back. Your voice matters. Your obedience matters. Your yes matters. Your boundaries matter. Your focus matters. Your stewardship matters. Your calling is not a small thing. It is not a side note in the story of someone else's life. It is a divine assignment, and decisions are part of how assignments are fulfilled. Some people will not understand the version of you that emerges after this choice. They were comfortable with the tired you, the uncertain you, the apologetic you, the easily discouraged you. But when you begin choosing alignment, clarity, and courage, it will unsettle those who built expectations around your hesitation. Do not let their confusion become your prison. God says not everyone assigned themselves to your life was sent by Him to define it. Some were simply witnesses. Some were tests. Some were lessons. Some were temporary. Stop trying to carry everyone into a future that requires obedience, because not everyone is meant to go where you are going. This decision will change your life forever because it is not only about one event. It is about what this event trains you to become. Each act of obedience makes the next one easier. Each moment of courage strengthens your spiritual backbone. Each refusal to betray your calling builds inner authority. You are not just choosing one thing. You are becoming someone through the choice. You are becoming someone who trusts God more deeply. Someone who moves with greater clarity. Someone who no longer negotiates endlessly with fear. Someone who begins to recognize that destiny is not built by wishful thinking but by consecrated decisions. Day by day, choice by choice, you are shaped. God says do not despise the cost of your next step. The cost may be real, but so is the reward. The cost may be temporary, but the fruit may touch years of your future. The cost may involve discomfort, discipline, release, restructuring, and endings, but what comes from aligned living is worth more than what is lost. Peace is worth it. Integrity is worth it. Clarity is worth it. Purpose is worth it. Freedom is worth it. You have already paid a heavy price by delaying. Think of the energy lost to confusion. Think of the tears spent in circles. Think of the opportunities postponed because fear sat on the throne. God says do not keep paying the price of disobedience just because the price of obedience feels unfamiliar. There are dreams buried under your hesitation. There is creativity trapped beneath your self-doubt. There is influence waiting on your maturity. There is provision waiting on your stewardship. There are answered prayers attached to the person you become after this decision. Not everything in your future can reach you in your current posture. Some blessings require a stronger container. Some opportunities require greater discipline. Some callings require a deeper yes. This is not rejection. It is preparation. It is mercy. God is not withholding good from you. He is teaching you how to stand in a way that can carry what you have requested. God says stop magnifying the possibility of failure while minimizing the certainty of His presence. Even if you stumble, He can guide you. Even if you do not do everything perfectly, He can correct you. Even if the road contains surprises, He remains faithful. Your progress was never going to depend on flawless performance. It depends on surrendered movement. It depends on a heart willing to listen and obey. It depends on a spirit that says, I may not know every detail, but I will not stay frozen. I may not have every answer, but I refuse to let fear decide my future. That kind of heart becomes dangerous to darkness because it cannot be permanently delayed. God says there is also healing in this decision. You may think it is only about your future, but it is also about your wounds. Each time you choose what is aligned, you tell your heart that its pain does not get the final word. Each time you refuse the old cycle, you tell your past it no longer owns your destiny. Each time you say yes to the life God is calling you into, you loosen the grip of memories that taught you to expect less. Healing is not only crying, praying, and remembering. Healing is also choosing differently. Healing is partnering with truth. Healing is refusing to build tomorrow with the same broken blueprint that injured yesterday. You have survived things that should have broken you. You have made it through confusion, silence, betrayal, delay, and disappointment. And now you stand here, still breathing, still hoping, still carrying something sacred inside you. Do not dishonor your survival by returning to what God is trying to free you from. Do not shrink your future to match the limitations of your former pain. You did not come this far just to remain undecided at the gate of your own next season. God says rise. Rise in understanding. Rise in maturity. Rise in spiritual boldness. Rise in discipline. Rise in truth. Rise in the identity that heaven has been calling by name. This message is for you because there is a difference between being careful and being captive. Wisdom is holy, but paralysis is not. Reflection is good, but endless delay is not. Thoughtfulness is mature, but constantly betraying what you know is not. You already know enough to take the next step. You may not know the entire roadmap, but you know enough to obey the next instruction. And often the next instruction is all heaven gives until it is honored. Why would God reveal step 10 to someone refusing step 1? Why would clarity increase for a heart committed to avoidance? Honor the light you have, and more light will come. God says stop searching for permission to stay in what is draining you. You do not need permission to outgrow what no longer fits your calling. You do not need permission to protect your peace. You do not need permission to obey God. You do not need permission to build what He put in your heart. You do not need permission to stop accepting treatment that diminishes your spirit. You do not need permission to leave environments that train you to doubt your worth. You do not need permission to choose wholeness over chaos. Heaven is already giving you the authorization you have been begging from people. There may be tears in this season, but do not misunderstand them. Tears are not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes they are the body's way of releasing an old life. Sometimes they are evidence that truth has finally touched a place in you that has been hidden for years. Sometimes they accompany the breaking of chains. Sometimes they arrive when the soul realizes it no longer has to live the same way. Let the tears come if they must, but do not let them become an argument against obedience. Some tears water the very ground from which your next life will grow. God says you are entering a chapter where your choices will matter more than your moods. You cannot build a stable future on unstable feelings. Feelings are real, but they are not kings. They are not prophets. They are not the final authority over your direction. If you only obey when you feel brave, you will remain trapped in cycles. But if you obey because truth is greater than your emotional weather, then you become anchored. Mature. Dangerous to confusion. The people who change their lives are not always the ones who feel the least fear. Often they are the ones who refuse to give fear the final vote. This decision is connected to stewardship. What you do next will reveal how you handle time, energy, opportunity, relationships, and calling. Do not keep treating sacred things casually. Do not keep pouring your strength into distractions while starving your assignment. Do not keep investing in what flatters your ego while neglecting what nourishes your soul. God says order matters. Focus matters. Hidden discipline matters. Your life will change not only through one dramatic moment, but through the daily architecture that follows your yes. Protect what matters. Build what is true. Nurture what is alive. Refuse what weakens your spirit. There is a future version of you that will look back on this moment with gratitude. That future self will remember the fear, but it will also remember the breakthrough. It will remember the trembling, but it will also remember the strength God provided. It will remember the loneliness of transition, but it will also remember the peace that followed alignment. One day you will realize that the decision you feared was the decision that freed you. One day you will thank God for not letting you stay where your soul was dying. One day you will see that what felt like the end of stability was actually the beginning of real life. God says stop believing that the wrong choice can destroy you beyond His redemption. That lie keeps many people imprisoned. The God who guides you is also the God who restores, corrects, redeems, and teaches. Trust Him enough to move. Trust Him enough to learn. Trust Him enough to let obedience become greater than obsession. You are not being asked to become your own God by controlling every possible outcome. You are being asked to become His servant in this moment by saying yes to truth. There is freedom in that. There is relief in that. There is power in finally laying down the burden of pretending you must foresee everything.